So today we're going to be turning one of my bucket list trips into soap. Hey everyone, and welcome back to our channel. My name's Anne, and along with my good friend Wayne, we run this YouTube channel, and we also run the Sussex Handmade Soap Company, which is a small bath and body business based in East Sussex in the UK. On this channel we focus on making videos of everything soap and bath and body related, predominantly soaps, that is where we started, but we also do bath bombs and creams and day in the life videos, and we show you a little bit of the behind the scenes of actually running a business making soaps and bath and body products. If that is your kind of thing, then do hit the subscribe button now and hit the notification bell, because over the next few weeks we have got a lot of videos that we have actually already filmed for once, and they are set ready to go. It is predominantly focusing on the natural soap making for the next few weeks, so goat's milk soaps, salt bars, things like that. So if that sounds like your cup of tea, then yeah, hit that subscribe button now. We will be doing more fun things as well, and today's video is one of our more fun videos. It is not a natural soap making video today, but it is a soap making video, and it's inspired by a recent trip that I went on a couple of weeks ago to Norway, up to the Arctic Circle, to a place called Alta. Seeing the Northern Lights and going to Norway and doing the husky dog sledding and snowmobiling has always been something I've wanted to do. And after saving up for a long while, I finally managed to actually accomplish that trip 2 weeks ago, and it was absolutely fantastic. I started off by spending a night in the ice hotel at Sorrisniva in Norway, up in near Alta, and it was just magical. I've wanted to do that since I was 16 years old. I can remember clearly the first time I found out about ice hotels. I was sitting in a science class with my friends in year 11, so I was 16 years old, and I found out ice hotels existed, and then from ever on I wanted to go and stay in one, and I finally managed to do that, and it was just beautiful and surreal, and I loved it. After that night there, I went down to somewhere called Glod, which is kind of like an adventure camp where they do tours and Northern Lights tours and snowmobiling and fat biking and loads of fun activities. So I went down there, and we were in a group of 8 of us. I didn't know any of the other people. I did this all by myself, and I was absolutely terrified. The week before I actually left to go on this trip, I wanted to cancel it because I was that scared of doing this by myself, but I didn't cancel it, and I went, and I'm so glad I did, because I had the most wonderful time, and that time included seeing the Northern Lights. And we were so lucky because we got the most magical display of Northern Lights, and they were so beautiful. They were kind of different to what I was expecting. I thought I was going to see the bright green colours to the naked eye, but actually it was more of a silvery green colour. They were still magical, still beautiful, but it was only when you actually held the camera up and took the photo that the real shades of green came through. So we are going to try and incorporate the Northern Lights that I saw into a soap today. And the photo that I have chosen to work from is this photo here. This is one of the photos that I took while I was out there. And I'm going to try to do my best to encapsulate this scene here into cold processed soap, and we're going to see how it turns out. So in here we have got our solid oils, which we have melted down, and we have added in our liquid oils, and you can see the recipe and the amounts that we use down in the description, so I won't go through them one by one. We are then going to colour it black with some activated charcoal. I've got 8 grams here, which equates to roughly 1% of the oil weight, and I'm just going to pop it straight into the oils, because this entire portion of the soap is going to be black, so I can pop it into the oils before we add the lye. And then I'm just going to stir it to incorporate it and make sure that it is really nicely incorporated and we don't have any kind of lumps or clumps of activated charcoal that haven't been mixed in. So now we've got our solid and liquid oils coloured with the activated charcoal. We've got our cooled lye water here, and I'm just going to add it in to the oils. Once we've added it into the oils, we will be bringing it to a light to medium trace. And now we are going to add in 20 grams of fragrance oil. This one is Christmas Tree from Candleshack, just because I thought it would really help with the design of the soap, because it really does kind of be reminiscent of Christmas trees and pine and things like that out with the northern lights. I thought the Christmas tree scent would work really nicely. And now all we need to do is pour this black layer into the mould. And this is our lower layer, and once we have poured it in, we're going to leave it to firm up, and then we're going to use our scraper tools to scrape out the design that we have planned for today's soap. So this is the scraper that I've made for today's design, and I want to make sure the soap is nice and firm before I do actually scrape the design through, because there are some fairly intricate bits on this scraper, and I want to make sure they come through nicely in the soap. And I want to make sure that they hold their shape. So we're going to wait until the soap is pretty firm. I made this quite simply by taking that photo of the northern lights that I showed you earlier. Then I drew around where the trees were, cut it out, and then I popped it onto this blue plastic, which is a roses tub, an old roses tub. And I drew the tree line onto the roses tub, chopped it all out, and that is my very rudimentary scraper that we're going to be working with today. So now the soap is firmed up, I've placed my scraper down into the soap, and all I'm going to do is just carefully drag it through the soap, trying to keep it nice and level so the design goes down into the soap. Just scraping off the excess back into my pan. And then just running across it again to try and get it nice and precise. And I'm just going to neaten up this end down here now. There we go, and I'm fairly happy with how that is looking. There we go, just one final swipe down through. And that is going to be our lower layer. So now we're going to move on to doing our second layer. By the time our second lot of oils and soap batter are all done, this is going to be nice and firm. So we won't have to worry too much when we pour the soap over the top, because this will all be nice and firm and set up. So we'll put this to one side now and move on to the next layer. So now we're working on the second layer, and I'm just going to run through it very quickly because we have already shown this process of combining the lye and oils before. So it's going to be exactly the same as before. Lye and oils blended together to a thin trace this time, and then I'm going to actually split down the batter into 3 different jugs. So I split the batter down now, 50% in here and 25% in each of these jugs, and we're now going to colour them for our northern lights. Into the 50% portion, we are putting some Starry Night mica from Resonate, some Purple Passion mica from So Posh, and some activated charcoal. And again, I've got all of the exact, all of the exact measurements in the description box. And I was just going to go with the Starry Night, but actually looking at the photo, the sky has got almost a purplish tint to it, and it is quite dark as well. So I want to get a nice dark colour with a purpley hint to that blue sky. So I've mixed these colours up, and I'm hoping that's going to give us that nice purpley sky. We are going in with some pistachio mica from So Posh into the first of our 25% portions. And I'm just going to work it in a little. I am going to give these a little blitz with the stick blender as well, just to make sure they are nicely combined. I've gone with 2 separate shades of green, because looking at the Northern Lights photo that I took, there are kind of different hints of green in there. So I've got 2 similar shades, but hopefully they're going to be just different enough to kind of give that little extra bit of detail into the soap. The final one is lime, also by So Posh, and I'm going to add that here into our third portion of soap. And again, just carefully working it in with the spatula, and then I'm going to give them all a quick blitz with a stick blender and also add in our fragrance oil too. And for the smaller portions, we're using 7.5 grams of fragrance oil. For the larger portion, we're going to be using 15 grams. And before I mix the third portion, I'm actually going to take the lime portion here, and I'm just going to drip it down into the centre of the pistachio portion, just because I think that kind of more vibrant green of the Northern Lights comes in the centre of the image. And I'm hoping that by combining these two like this will give us a really nice effect in the finished soap. Just giving them a quick mix with the spatula. And then the final portion is going to be the 15 grams of fragrance oil. And then I'm just going to splatter the green down into the blue. Like so. Now a very quick mix, and I'm not trying to mix them in completely, just a little, and that will be fine. Now bringing in our mould, and I'm just going to tip the soap over the lower layer, and it is pretty thick now, as you can see. Kind of as thick as I would want to work with. Any thicker than this, we would be having problems. Shaking it side to side to obviously kind of level it out, and then just making sure that the mould is full. And again, another quick shake from side to side and a tap down. And I'm just going to neaten up the top a little bit now. And then there's one final thing we're going to do with this soap. So the last thing I'm going to do is take a little bit of silver eco glitter from So Posh. I'm not measuring it because I'm not selling this soap, so I'm just going with a couple of pinches over the top, probably about 0.2 grams or so. And this is just to kind of give the effect of stars, because that was one thing that is evident in the photo, is all of the stars that you can see shimmering as well. So I thought it'd be quite nice to finish it off with a little bit of a silver starry sparkle. And that is our Northern Lights soap completed. We'll leave it to dry for 24 hours and we'll come back tomorrow to chop it up and see how it has turned out. Fingers crossed it's going to be a good one. So 24 hours later and we have our soap unmoulded and ready to cut. I'm liking the look of the edges so far. I'm just a little concerned that our lime green may actually be a little too bright, but we're going to see how it looks. Before I cut it, I'm actually just going to take a potato peeler and I'm just going to sort of neaten up these edges here just to make it look a little bit nicer, a little bit prettier when it's all done and cut into bars. And because we've got that glitter on the top, I'm going to cut it on its side so that the glitter doesn't get dragged through the soap. And here we go. Right, let's go for a piece and see what it looks like on the inside. So this is what we've got on the inside there. I'm pretty happy with the colours actually. I think the colours have come out quite nicely. You can see the distinction between the black of the silhouette of the trees and the blue of the sky. Really happy with how the blue colour for the sky came out. I think that looks pretty accurate as to what the sky actually looked like. The trees themselves, you can't see a huge amount of detail, but you can see that there is something there, so I'm fairly happy with them. And the actual swirl of the green and the northern lights, again, pretty happy with how that's looking, because the northern lights are so unpredictable and give so many different colours and patterns that this looks, I think, pretty good. And just for comparison, I've pulled out a second bar there, so you can see we are getting different patterns that have been created by the swirls, but we've still got that lovely green colour against that blue background and the black silhouette of the trees. So yeah, pretty happy with how these ones have turned out today. So I've gone through each individual bar of soap and I've pulled out these two, which I think are my favourites. This one I really like just because you kind of got the green of the northern light just over one half of the soap and you can kind of see it billowing over the trees and up into the sky. And this one I like because it kind of covers the whole width of the soap, but you still see the blue of the sky up there as well. So there was a lot of really different, really cool designs that came through, but these two have turned out to be my favourite. Let's hold that there and pop the photo up, and then hopefully you can see a side-by-side comparison of how it actually turned out in comparison to the photo that I took. I don't think we did a particularly bad job. I think it's turned out quite nicely. So yeah, I am happy with today's soaps, and I really like the pine scent in them as well. I think that was a good choice, albeit the pine fragrance oil did make our soap batter thicken up more than I wanted it to. It was at that level where it was only just kind of workable, and to be honest, I would have preferred it a little bit more thin to kind of pour into the mould rather than plap into the mould, but it worked out well in the end. I'm happy with how they turned out. Leave us a comment in the comments box. Let us know what you think of the soap, and also let us know what your bucket list experiences are too. I'd love to hear what's on your list, what you'd like to do, or maybe trips that you have done as well, because it's always nice to hear kind of those hopes and dreams that other people out there have as well. Don't forget to hit subscribe if you enjoy our videos, and hit that notification bell as well so you will be told every time we upload something new for you. Thanks for watching today, and we'll see you next time. Bye for now.